Snakeye Showdown is a tabletop RPG system that blends a number of existing systems, particularly D&D, Fantasy Age, and Dread. Combining the more improvisational, story and decision-driven nature of Dread with the more structured character building and fighting mechanics of D&D, Snakeye allows for a GM to focus more on story and action without being bogged down by torrents of rules, while still minimizing debates over GM's judgment. Snakeye is designed primarily for campaigns, with the intent that players specialize and then grow to mastery in their fields over the course of several sessions. Understanding how the system works is super simple, and the best place to start is by looking at the character sheet. Players determine their stats, or specialties, by rolling 3d6, then assigning the numbers where they want. They then pick a bias, brains, brawn, or blarney, and increase their stats for knowledge, communication, dexterity, or strength, athleticism, luck, or communication, luck, dexterity, respectively. Things like health and money are established by the GM, and the players fill in the rest for character background. From there, the adventure is played out much like Dread, where the GM sets the scene and introduces obstacles, and the players must react to them. The difference, however, lies in how action reactions are performed. To perform a skill check, players choose the stat they would like to test, as long as they can provide a satisfactory line of reasoning to the GM. The player will then roll 2d6 and subtract the result from the stat they are checking, to make a skill check number. The higher the number, the better chances of success. Subsequently, the lower the dice roll, the higher the chances of success. For example, an unarmed player is attempting to punch an unarmed NPC. Say this NPC is just a random person on the street. If the skill check number, that dice roll subtracted from the original stat, is a 7, the player would probably succeed and simply punch the NPC as intended. If the number was a 13, they could do something cool in addition to the basic action they originally intended, maybe punching the NPC so hard they fly into another person, or achieving a total knockout with this one punch. If the number was a 2, however, the player might fail the check to the point where it has negative consequences for them, like punching so badly they miss and punch a brick wall. Furthermore, if the task is more difficult, the numbers required for success are higher. So, shooting someone through a window of a moving train might need a 13 instead of the 7 required to simply punch someone. What counts as a success and the effects of a skill check number are entirely up to the GM. Items can be bought to increase stats. The GM decides what bonuses an item should give. A good rule of thumb is to have items increase the stat or stats that would most make sense for a player to test when using that item. For example, a player will probably test dexterity to pick a lock. When they use a lockpick, it makes it easier to pick the lock, and thus easier to pass this dexterity check, but doesn't make the player more inherently dexterous. However, this item would have a dexterity bonus, because, like the real item, it allows the player to pass the check more easily. To use item bonuses, write the item and the bonus it gives in inventory, but don't add the bonus in to the stat itself. When the item is used, temporarily add the bonus to the respective stat, the one being subtracted from during a skill check. Here's a scenario. A player tests strength to use a sword that is an item with a strength bonus of +2. Their strength stat is 15 without the bonus, and when they roll the 2d6 to test strength, the numbers on the dice total 8. Without the bonus on the sword, the resulting skill check number is 7. But since the sword was used, the player temporarily adds the +2 bonus to their 15 strength stat, making the number to subtract from 17. They would then take the 8 that resulted from rolling the 2d6 and subtract that from the now 17, and the player now has a skill check number of 9, making a higher chance of success. That's all the basics you need to know to watch a game of Snakeye Showdown and understand what's happening.